can hear me. So my name's Mark Pascall. So for the last few years, we've been thinking about a problem that was really well described in this book called The Third Pillar. Raghuram was the ex-head of the Indian Reserve Bank, ex-chief economist at the IMF, and the way he describes the problem is that the society is supported by three pillars. We've got the free market capitalism company pillar, then we've got the state government pillar, and we've got community pillar. And what's happened is we've had a few revolutions. We've had the agricultural, industrial, technological revolution, and they have fundamentally shifted the power. They've moved the power towards the big corporates, the company pillar, the government pillar, and the community pillar has suffered. And he argues that this shift in power has fundamentally caused some of the most systemic problems we've got in society today. So from the environmental breakdown to loneliness to inequality. So what can we do to correct this problem? Because it's really hard to take away the power from the people who've got it on the two sort of very powerful pillars. So what we can do is empower community. And I guess we've been reflecting for a little while and asking ourselves the question, could decentralization help to bring back community? Is there a way to do this? We went down a whole lot of rabbit holes over the last few years, exploring not only Web3, but a whole lot of other tangential things. And we kind of emerged in this point where we started to imagine if we could, if a small, hyper-local, informal group in a marginalized community could spin up a micro collective, micro foundation, a micro DAO, as easily as a Facebook group. And imagine if the user experience and the support network around that made it super easy for that group to make decisions about money. And imagine if we could scale that 100 times, 1,000 times, 1,000,000 times. And imagine if we could also make it super easy for funders to stream money into those micro treasuries. And by funders, we mean anybody with a kid with $10 through to a multi-million-dollar DAO. Could we catalyze this network of decentralized grassroots change makers with this mechanism? So we got a really exciting opportunity last year to take a first step towards that vision. We got funding from the New Zealand government to work with an indigenous community to actually start to reimagine the community grant system. So this community was a Maori men's health group. This is a picture of some of the lads here. That's me and my co-founder and some of the ladies who represented the funders. And really our brief was to reimagine the grant funding system to create one that supported and empowered the group, the men, to solve their own problems. Long story short, we got more funding from 3 other government agencies. We built some software. We ran a trial. Went really well last year. And we're now running trials across New Zealand, Australia, and the UK. And we picked up some pretty cool supporters along the way. So Aya she personally funded one of our trials in New Zealand and has been a great support for the project. So what have we actually built? We were really inspired by an article by Jeff Emmett, who is maybe even here, he presented yesterday. So he's been a real OG in this space, and this article he wrote a few years ago gave us a lot to think about. But what we decided to do was to really try and take some of these quite complex governance mechanisms and to focus on the user experience. How do we turn this into something that real people can use? So what have we actually built? I'd love to spend half an hour showing you the app. It's an app you can download from the app stores. But what and I haven't got time to show it, so here's some of the key things. So we build in fund streaming, conviction voting, quadratic voting, dynamic thresholds, workflow, delegated voting, all sorts of cool stuff. So yeah, so it's out and we're running a bunch of trials across the world using it. So what next? So I think the really exciting thing is that once you've solved a trust and engagement problem, you have a foundation to build some other really exciting stuff on top of that. So micro endowments, volunteer coordination tools, savings pools, all that sort of stuff. We get 100% voter turnout. We get 100% engagement. Come join us. We're looking for funders. We're looking for partners to roll out more trials across the world. And yeah, if you want to have a play afterwards, just in the top right-hand corner, download the app, search for Hum Community. request to join the Ross Reserve community, and you can do some quadratic voting. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So, are there any questions? Yep. Questions? Yeah, over there.
Thank you. Any DPIN projects has been experimented on?
No.
Yeah, hi.
Hi.
It was an enlightening session. So the thing what I would like to understand is, when you have certain of these ideologies, for example, like effective altruism, which could, which is termed as beneficial to all, but over course of time it get diluted and we see, bad things happening in their ecosystems. How do we make sure that, the essence of what we are trying to achieve using protocol is not eventually getting diluted, and how do we prevent the bad actors getting into the thing?
That's a difficult one. What we've done is we've experimented with building something where we can create a new mechanism to stream money. The big picture is we want to create our own DAO and embed the values of the DAO into doing good, and ultimately decentralize our governance to the communities that we're supporting. So yeah, I think it being taken over by bad actors, that's something that we are very conscious of, and we'll do everything we can to make sure that doesn't happen. But I think we're quite centralized at the moment. We're going to, obviously, becoming a DAO is a journey. We're early on that journey. So.
Yep. So the question I had was that, is there a rollout plan for involving some of the developing nations as well?
Yeah, I mean, we're sort of, as I say, on a journey. We've been talking to people in Uganda, Africa, and yeah, it's really about building out that network. I guess one key point I would like to make is for the marginalized communities, technology is just one small part of the solution. We need partners, on-the-ground partners, to work with those communities. And there are organizations already out there. There are community development organizations, charities. So we partner with a bunch of those in the UK and Australia already. We need to connect with more of those in developing nations so they can work with the communities, and effectively we support those organizations to run trials and grow it out from there. But, yeah.
Question over there.
So what did your Maori users decide to do with your fund?
They did a whole bunch of things. Again, the interesting thing was, so the whole thing is held together with a constitution. So it's a document that the community make that really defines the purpose of the fund and what they're going to do with it. That's pre-agreed, and the funder agrees to that constitution and essentially agrees to keep streaming money in if the community adheres to that constitution. The first trial, the Māori Men's Health Group, Tāne Ora, the funder agreed to a more holistic view of health. So in Māori, we have a thing called Te Whara Tapawha, which is a more holistic view of health, and the funder agreed to that. So the guys, they organised trips to the beach, they bought sports equipment, they paid for nutritionists to come in. They did a whole bunch of things, but it was very much their decision, and yeah, and they come up with all sorts of ideas. So yeah.
Sorry, that was our last question. Thank you very much for your presentation. Please give a nice round of applause to Mark.